Money talk.
Here comes the money.
We are baking bets and we are making money, and last week started off so perfect. I thought we were getting the perfect card. We called it. We talked about the perfect card. I thought it was going to finally happen for us. We were 9-0. 9-0. We had an upset. We had the underdog. We had Whittaker beating Francisco Prado in a split decision, and I was like, this is the night. This is the night. The next fight, we got Zellhuber versus a very old Michael Johnson. And Zellhuber lost. And then another loss. And then another loss. And then another loss. And then Max Holloway at least ended us on a good note, right? So we ended up going 10-4 on the night. It was looking really good for us early. We were 9-0. We were looking hot. We were getting ready to go. And then we had that one roadblock. And then we let it pile up. Not good. Not good. But we move on. Sunshine, rainbows, good times are coming because we have UFC Abu Dhabi, Robert Whittaker versus RDR. We're going to break down the whole card. We're going to give you your best picks, and we're going to have the Bacon Bets parlay. It's going to hit this week. Last week we didn't hit. Like I said, the main card really hurt us, but this week I'm going to make sure it hits. I've been in the lab. I've been doing research. Let's make it happen. Let's make some money. I may not have the card order correct, but this is the card order we have to work with. We're going to start off with Damon Blackshere versus Davy Grant. Right now, Damon Blackshere is a minus 265 favorite, with Davy Grant being the plus 200. I think that Damon Blackshere is super well-rounded. Obviously, he has the great grappling game, but I think his striking arsenal has been improving as of late. He's showing some creativity on the ground, having some unique submissions. I think he's one of the few twister finishes in MMA history. Grant is very tough veteran with good striking, and he's pretty dangerous submission-wise, especially off his back, but I think that Blackshere's wrestling, top control, should be the deciding factor, and like I said, he's getting better on his feet, so I don't think he's going to be as outclassed as people think. Davy Grant has been knocked out before. I could see that happening, and also the threat of the takedown. I think people underrate in MMA, right? The threat of the takedown makes guys, or it closes striking gaps. So I think that's what we're going to end up seeing. I like Blackshere a lot. We're going to go Damon Blackshere. Muhammad Yaya versus Steven Nuen. So I think that this is a low-level fight. I really wouldn't bet on this one, but we're here to make picks. We're here to make some money. I'm going to go with Steven Nuen on this one. And it's not that I think he's that much better than Yaya. I think both guys aren't UFC level, and that's no disrespect. Obviously, they're great fighters in their own right, but just UFC level's a whole different beast. Yaya hasn't gotten a win yet. He hasn't looked good. I've heard that he has knockout power, but I haven't really seen it. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone has seen it in the UFC yet, right? So I don't know. I just think that, again, if I had to make a pick, I'm going Nuen because he's just aggressive. He pushes the pace. He comes forward. He's ready to fight. So I think that he might even gas him out, might beat up Yaya. I don't know if there's going to be a finish. This fight, like I said, it's hard to pick. We're going to go with Steven just based off of activity, the fact that I think that he is the better fighter in this. Not all the time does the best fighter win, but I think that Nguyen's the better fighter here. So I think he's going to end up overwhelming Yaya, kind of keep that consistent aggression, and he's going to push the pace in the striking exchanges to try to get the win. Martin Budet versus Marcus Buchecha. Martin Budet is the plus 162 favorite with Buchecha at minus 210. I like Budet. Knock on wood, we've been doing really good with our underdog pick. So I'm going to stick with underdogs when I feel good about them. And this is one I feel good about. Budet has UFC experience. He's a very big guy. He showed good striking and a willingness to stand and trade. He's super durable. He could push a pace for a heavyweight where a lot of heavyweights aren't pushing any kind of pace. Where Buchecha is a very good jiu-jitsu fighter, but that's all he has, right? He's only a jiu-jitsu guy. He's super one-dimensional, where I think Budet is more well-rounded. And I talked about Budet striking, but when he came in, he was known as a grappler. So I think that Budet could keep the fight standing, utilize his striking, has a chance to catch Buchecha on the outside, and outstrike him over time. I think that even if this one goes to a decision, right, I don't hate Budet. I know heavyweights don't go to decisions a lot, but I think this is one where maybe Buchecha gets around with the wrestling, maybe he takes him down early, but at some point I think Budet keeps it on his feet, and I think he's going to beat this guy up pretty good. So we're going to go with the underdog with UFC experience, Martin Budet. Asul Amabayev versus Jose Ocha. Now this fight, Jose Ocha is coming in on short notice. I think Jose Ocha is a good striker. I just think this is one of those cases where it's just too much too soon, right? He's a young guy. He's getting a big opportunity kind of out of nowhere. And I just think Asul Amabayev is just too well-rounded. I think that he's going to take him down, mix it up a little bit, because he could stand on his feet, but Ocha, primarily a striker. I think that Asu is going to get the win. This isn't official yet, so there's really no odds on it as of recording, but everyone has this fight pretty locked in, so I think that this is the one that we're going to go with. So if we have Asu versus Jose Ocha, we're going to go with Asu Amabayev. That's our pick. Now we got Ibo Aslan at -300 versus Billy Elkana at +200, a light heavyweight bout. Ibo Aslan's a power puncher with a high finishing rate. He tends to be aggressive and look for the knockout. Billy has shown some technical striking, but often fights at a very low volume and has questionable cardio, tending to gas out a little bit. He also struggles going backwards a little bit, where Ibo's only going forward at all times. So where Billy is struggling going backwards, Aslan's going to be going forward the entire time. He's going to try to exploit that as a weakness, making it difficult for Billy to find his rhythm out there and try to stay out of trouble. I think that Aslan, being the more aggressive and offensive fighter, I think that he's going to get the win. He might even get the finish here. So we're going to go with Aslan at -300. Muslim Salakov +285 versus Carlos Leal -400, welterweight. I like Carlos Leal a lot in this fight. I like Carlos Leal when he was over at PFL. I think he's a really good fighter. I think, and two, looking at him, I always thought he was an older guy. He's 30 years old. He's 30 years old. He has time to move up the division. I think this guy could be a problem in the welterweight division. He's super well-rounded, wicked powerful striker. And he has a proven ability to finish fights. Last time he was in Abu Dhabi, he got robbed. And now I think he knows, all right, I'm not even going to let it go to the judges this time. I'm going to finish this guy. Muslim Salakov, he is a nasty kickboxer, but the king of Kung Fu, I think he's going to get knocked out. I really do. He's been hit a lot. He's taken a lot of damage over his career. So I think Leao's more conventional, powerful boxing, as opposed to the crazy spins and all these different attacks from Salakov. I think Leao's going to put it on him. I really think that he might have the ability to finish this fight as well. Carlos Leal might be my favorite pick in this whole card. Big Carlos Leal fan, so we're going to go with him in this one. Amanda Hebas versus Tabitha Baby Shark Reichi. This one, I've seen the lines all over the place, but it's almost a pick 'em. Some of them have Rebas as a slight favorite. We're going to go with Rebas in this one. I think that Rebas is more well-rounded, super athletic. Where I think Reichi does have the advantage is in the jiu-jitsu, but Rebas is a very good judo practitioner. She's very good judo, and I think she has very good jiu-jitsu too. So I think she's going to negate the one advantage that Reichi has over her, and I think she's going to put the pace on her striking. I think that Rebas is far more active. She hasn't looked great in her last couple fights, but the level of competition is so high, right? She's going against like Thug Rose. She's going against the upper echelon of women's fighters. So I think that Rebas definitely has the advantage. I think that Rebas is one that kind of fights at strawweight and flyweight. She bounces up and down. Where Reichi's kind of a weight bully at strawweight, right? She's a lot bigger than or stronger than a lot of these girls. She's not tall, but she's very strong. And I think that Rebas, being also a big strawweight, I think she's going to be able to keep it on her feet. I think she's going to be able to outstrike Reichi and then win this fight. So very close odds. We're going to go with Amanda Hebas. Nikita Krylov -200 versus Bogdan Guskov +154. We're going with the UFC vet. We're going to go with Nikita Krylov. Now, I know Guskov could knock him out. That's the only reason, spoiler alert, this one isn't going on the Bacon Bets Parlay, because I feel like there's a chance that Guskov could catch him and drop him. Nikita Krylov has been knocked out before. He got knocked out by Dominic Reyes when Dominic Reyes wasn't doing so hot, but honestly, gave him a lot of momentum. Dominic Reyes has been on a hot streak lately, and I think Krylov gave him a lot of that momentum, but he ain't going to give it to Bogan. Not this week. No. Bogan, he's a terrible wrestler. He's an awful wrestler. And if you're not a good grappler, you have to have the ability to keep the fight on the feet, and Bogan doesn't have that. He has bad takedown defense and bad grappling. I think that Krylov being more well-rounded, because even though Krylov is kind of known as a striker, he can wrestle. He's a very good wrestler, and he's a good grappler. So I think that he's going to be able to get the fight to the ground, maybe even drown him out in a decision, where Guskov has gassed out before. So we're going to go with Kryoff in this one. He's going to get some momentum back. He's going to get back on the right track. We're on the main card now, and after last week, I'm a little bit scared of this main card. But we got Shara Bullet Maidoff versus Marc-Andre Bario, a.k.a. Power Bar. We're going to go with Shara Bullet on this one. I think even though he didn't look good in his MVP fight, MVP is always known as a puzzle for everybody, right? He's a guy that a lot of people over the years have not been able to solve. And even for that fight, MVP was an underdog. And I told all my friends, take MVP. Take MVP. Shara Bullet has not fought a guy at this level. He hasn't fought a guy that's, as good as MVP was. And he's back at the level he should be, right? And I do think Shara Bullet can be a stud one day. I think that he could be a problem in the middleweight division, but I just don't think that time is right now. I think we're 3, 4, 5 years away from Shara Bullet really competing at the upper echelon of middleweight, where Marc-Andre Barrio, I don't think he's ever going to be there. And I think that Shara Bullet is going to put it on him. I think that even though Bario has shown resilience in the past, I think that Maidoff's unique striking, his angles, his power is going to be too much to handle. I think he's going to be able to control the range, land his big strikes when he wants to land them, and then he's going to end up overwhelming Mark. So we're going to go with Shara Bullet in this one. He's going to get back on the right track and be that prospect that we all thought he was going to be. This line is going all over the place. Bryce Mitchell opened up as the favorite, and now he's the plus 115 underdog against Said Nurmagomedov at minus 135. I'm going to go with Nurmagomedov. Bryce Mitchell's going down in weight. I don't think this is going to be a good move for him. Even though he wasn't the biggest featherweight, I think that there's so many guys that are well-rounded in these lower weight classes, right? So when you cut 10 pounds, you're not going against worse competition. You're going against guys who are equally as well-rounded as 45. They just might be a little bit quicker, maybe not as strong, but you're not going to be as strong because you're dropping weight. I think that Nurmagomedov is a very slick striker. He lost his last fight against Oliveira, but we just seen last week at 318, Oliveira is an absolute savage, dude. He's a savage. So I don't really hold that loss against him. Bryce Mitchell has lost really bad his last couple fights. Yes, he's also losing to Savages, but he's just looked so bad in those losses. I think that Said being a Nurmagomedov, he's going to know how to stop a takedown. And once it's on the feet, if this fight stays on its feet, it's going to be the most one-sided fight on the card. I'm very serious about that. If this fight does not go to the ground and is not controlled on the ground by Bryce Mitchell, this fight's going to look like Said should be a minus 600 favorite because he's that much better on the feet than Bryce. So I think that Said's going to be able to stop the takedowns, and even if he doesn't stop them, I think he's going to be able to scramble up to his feet. At the end of the day, he's a Nurmagomedov. He's Dagestani. Wrestling's in his blood, right? He's known as a striker, but wrestling's in his blood. So we're going to go with Said in this one. Sorry, Bryce. Pack your bags, kid. Peter Yan, minus 400 versus Marcus McGee, plus 285. We're going to go with Peter Yan on this one. I do think Marcus McGee's good. I really do. But he's a guy who kind of got into MMA late, or I don't even know if he got into MMA late. He got into the UFC late. He's older than Peter Yan, and Peter Yan's a guy who's already been there, done that, right? I think Yan's one of the most technically sound strikers in all of the UFC. He has relentless pressure, very excellent boxing, and he's precise in his counter strikes, and when he wants to go first, everything's just so perfect with him, right? Like if you're watching tape, if you want to become an MMA fighter, you watch a guy like Peter Yan because he does everything so crisp. Marcus McGee is a powerful striker and he knocks people out. He is a good wrestler, but Yan's known for going against these wrestlers and being able to keep it on his feet and just punishing guys when they can't take him to the ground. So I think that McGee doesn't have like his own style, right? Like when you watch Marcus McGee tapes, he's a very well-rounded guy, but Yan is well-rounded and exceptional at certain things, right? He's well-rounded because he's good enough as a grappler, but he's an exceptional boxer. Where Marcus McGee, I just think, is very good at everything. We're going to go with Peter Yan in this one. I think that Peter Yan kind of gets to where he needs to be. I think Peter Yan is a fight or two away from the title, right? I know Merab doesn't like him, so there's beef there. Merab beat him pretty bad when they fought. It was a 50-45, I think, across the board. But I could see Jan kind of correcting a few mistakes and then maybe finding a way to get back to a title shot. I wouldn't hate to see Jan in there again. So let's go Peter Yan versus Marcus McGee. We're going to go with Peter Yan. Main event time. We got Robert Whittaker, Bobby Knuckles, minus 159 against RDR, Renner de Ritter, plus 139. We're going with Bobby Knuckles. Of course we're going with Bobby Knuckles. Is there any other pick? Renner de Ritter, he's kind of had an easy path in the UFC if you think about it, right? Before the Bo Nickel fight, we wouldn't have said that. But then after the Bo Nickel fight and seeing where Bo Nickel is at this point of his MMA career, that was an easy fight. And then against Kevin Holland was a lot smaller than him because RDR is a guy who could fight 205. Holland's a guy who does fight 70. They met in the middle at 85. RDR was just way too big, way too strong, subbed Holland really quick. And before that, he had a war with Gerald Mearshart. And now he's close odds with Robert Whittaker, former title challenger. I know Robert Whittaker got subbed by Hamzat, but RDR's not Hamzat. He's not Hamzat. Hamzat is so aggressive, so vicious, so mean, has malice behind every little thing he does. RDR just kind of wants to stand. He just wants to play the jiu-jitsu game when it gets there, right? He did have those nasty knees against Bo Nickel. Bobby Knuckles ain't Bo Nickel, my friend. Bobby Knuckles, I think, is going to put it on RDR. Bobby Knuckles only loses to guys who become champion. I don't think RDR is going to be a champion in the UFC. So you ain't going to beat Bobby Knuckles. That's not how this works, compadre. We're going to go Bobby Knuckles for the win. Bobby Knuckles getting back to where it is. And I just like saying Bobby Knuckles. Those are my picks. See you guys next week. Nah, I'm just kidding. I can't leave you guys without the Bacon Bets Parlay. What kind of person would I be without giving you guys your Bacon Bets Parlay? So this week, we are going to run Damon Blackshere. We're going to go him. We're going to pick him against Davey Grant. I'm feeling really good about that one. And then Carlos Leal. Like I said, last time he was in Abu Dhabi, he got robbed by the judges. I don't think he's going to let it go to the judges. Carlos Leal. Hammer him. Put him on every one of your parlays. That's my favorite pick of this whole event. And then we're going to go with Shara Bullet. I know last time against MVP, he didn't look so smooth, didn't look the same, but I think this is a big drop in competition. This is where Shara really should be at this point of his career, kind of building himself up. I do think Power Bar is dangerous. Marc-Andre Bario, he's a little dangerous, but I like Shara overall. I think he's going to win a decision in that one, maybe even getting a big knockout at some point in that fight. So, again, the Bacon Bets Parlay, we're going to go Damon Blackshere. We're going to go Carlos Leal, and then we're going to go with Shara Bullet Mago Maidoff. That is your Bacon Bets Parlay. Lock it in. Let's make money this week. We're going to start 9-0 like we did last week, and then we're going to keep winning. We're going to keep winning. We're going to keep winning. We're getting that perfect card. We're going to make it happen. Trust me. Trust me on this.